studio with me today is Maria Ahlers. She is the president of RPS Benefits by Design. What we're going to talk about today will be of great interest to anybody out there that is a member of an association, a co-op. Maybe you're just a 1099 gig worker and you can't find health benefits. There is a solution for you, and we think we've got it.
And now, America's healthcare advocate, Cary Hall.
Hello, America. Welcome to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HI Radio Network. My producers today, Mr. Dave Thiessen behind the cameras and Mr. Garner Countery behind the microphones, putting all this together so we can put this show out there on the air across the country for all of you that listen to the broadcast. And for those of you that like to go to the podcast platform, there are 16 of them. And there's also the YouTube channel. I think we're up to about 633,000 of you now have viewed us or downloaded us, so we greatly appreciate that. And we greatly appreciate the fact this is our 22nd year of doing this show. Absolutely amazing, frankly. As I always say each week, if you are chronologically challenged or you're looking for ACA, you need to call the lovely Carol Lee Steele over at RPS Benefits by Design. Anywhere in the country, she can help you. If you've got a relative, I just had a situation where I had a relative go into a nursing home facility and we moved her plan to a different plan that was a special needs model, and she did it all. She's remarkable at what she does. So if you want help, 877-385-2224, anywhere in the country, she's happy to help you. And I always tell you that if you're looking for employer-sponsored health care, you need to talk to the lovely Maria Ahlers. But today, you can actually talk to her right here because she's on the air with me. Welcome back.
Hi, Cary. Nice to be back.
It's great to have you back. I think we're going to have a really good show today. It's interesting because we're going to focus on two things today. We're going to talk about what happens to folks that are 1099, and I'm looking at the show notes that you sent over to me, and I'm looking at this, and there are 85 million people in this country that are 1099 employees.
I did not know that. I know the landscape has changed for sure.
In the next 5 years, that number will go to 110 million.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting because what I see happening to some degree is a lot of employers are shedding their whole. We have a client that we do business with that has, I think, 30,000 brokers that work underneath them. They move them all from W-2 to 1099s. Mm-hmm. The cost of health insurance was killing them.
That's right.
And they found it more economical to go to the 1099 model and let people make their own decisions. So it seems to me that's a part of the market that just gets missed. I don't see a lot of concentration on it in terms of trying to find solutions for it.
That's right. I mean, there isn't. I think most of the employers, I think a lot of this started with COVID when we went to remote working, right? Remote worker. Yeah. So a lot of it went to remote workers, and then they became 1099 contractors. And even to attract and retain those employees, HR studies have shown the top 2 or 3 reasons why employees work for companies is for benefits. So to keep your 1099 workers, you need to also have benefits, and they're forgotten about because they're contractors. They're not W-2 employees, but they still have the same needs as W-2 employees.
And they can't be on a group health insurance policy
right.
because they're 1099 employees. So we have a trucking firm up in Omaha that had 4,000 truckers. Of that 4,000, about 400 were 1099. They had no benefits for these folks. And as a result of that, they had massive turnover. They went to the PSM, Population Science Management Gig Care model.
Yep.
That is part of the Detego plan, and they offered that to their drivers, and it worked out to be really well for them. So there are solutions, but you got to find the solutions, Maria.
That's right, and I think employers, they are working within the traditional realm. W-2s get benefits. 1099s don't. That doesn't mean they don't deserve benefits. It's just, again, trying to find carriers that will cover 1099. Most carriers won't cover 1099 gig care workers. Your gig care workers are your Uber drivers. They need medical benefits. They have families to support. Hair salon stylists, realtors, they need medical benefits. We help a lot of realtors with getting their own medical benefits. And the benefit for the client is that there's no requirement on an employer contribution. So they can contribute as much or as little as they want. So then it's more affordable for them.
I'll go back to the conversation about the trucking firm. And actually, they're in Lincoln, Nebraska, not Omaha. What they did to help offset the cost of the plan, and they used gig care. That's the plan they used. The population science management gig care plan was they added a bonus to their monthly
That's right.
pay, and it was based on the number of miles they drove.
Yeah.
So there was a creative way to give these people money to say, okay, if you're signing up for this health benefit plan, gig care, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to contribute X number of dollars to your plan every month based on you driving a minimum number of miles, whatever the case may be. But here's what happened with that, which is interesting. Their turnover started dropping because, unlike the other trucking firms, they had health benefits.
Yeah, we work with a lot of co-ops and associations, and we've heard that a lot, is that their retention has gone up because they're able to offer benefits. And gig care is also more agile in the fact that you can enroll. There's no open enrollment. There's no minimum contribution. It's pretty easy plan to pick out. We have HSAs, we have PPOs, we even have an EPO, and it's on 3 different major carriers network. The prescription is there. So it's more agile for everyone, the 1099 contractor and the employer.
Up until this product came in the market, and it's different because the rates are universal.
Yeah.
So our rates don't vary state by state. You brought up ACA. There is no open enrollment. You can enroll in gig care any time of year you want to enroll. And the rate in Kansas is the same rate as California. The rate in Missouri is the same rate as Florida. So our rates don't vary on a state by state basis like ACA because the ACA is governed by the State Department of Insurance.
That's right. Yeah, it's done by your age, your health history, and what coverage level you want. Employee child, employee spouse, family. And it's on 3 large major carriers network.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have Aetna, Blue Cross, and Cigna as partners of ours, depending on what plan you pick and where you are, that we're able to offer those plans, and they make a big difference. And so you have national coverage. This is another thing, too. And we're going to go to break here pretty quick, but I just want to bring this up. We don't have a narrow network plan.
No.
Every ACA plan, am I right or wrong?
That's right. It's as if you're on a group benefit. It feels and looks like it, but it's your own individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are national networks. They are not narrow networks. So then one of the ways that the carriers control cost, and they have to, because these plans, you saw Aetna pull out of the market completely, left 1 million people without health insurance on ACA because they were losing so much money they couldn't keep doing it. So they narrow the network because if you control access, you control cost. Our plans are set up like that. We're on their top tier PPO networks across the country. You have, if you want to go to MD Anderson, you have cancer, you want to go to Sloan Kettering, or whatever specialty hospital you want to go to, it's not out of network.
That's right.
It's in network.
That's right. It's one of the larger carrier networks, and the prescription cost is the same. We find that a lot of our clients are really concerned about prescription costs, and it looks and feels the same as a group benefit, except it's an individual plan. You have your tiered, your $10 copay, your $20 copay, your $25 copay. So it looks and feels the same way. And I think that's really why people are drawn to it, is it looks and feels the same way. It's their own benefits. They can keep the same providers and maintain their prescriptions.
Yeah. So when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Some of the innovative things that are happening on gig care that you might find interesting, like drug importation and foundational assistance. We'll talk about all about that when I get back from the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HI Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. If you want to reach out to Maria, 877-385-2224. I'm sure that Hannah, who is her executive assistant, be happy to chat with you and get you in front of Maria. If you're looking for any of these kinds of coverage for an association, for realtors, whatever the case may be, they are more than happy to help you at RPS Benefits by Design. Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. I want to give a shout out to 1440 KMAJ, the big talker in Topeka, Kansas. Very happy to have them as part of our America's Healthcare Advocate family. A great station up there in Topeka that carries our show. The Big Talker, 1440 KMAJ. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit now because, you know, this is another issue. The ACA plans are boxed in by CMS, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, that tell them what they can do and what they can't do. We're not a CMS plan.
No.
We're regulated by ERISA, which is the Department of Labor. It's a totally different model that we have in place. And that model, which was set up under Population Science Management, as you mentioned, a large group plan, but individual coverage underneath that plan, which is gig care. So what we did with PSM and with gig care was we started a drug importation program. We have our own PBM. As you know, if somebody needs a medication that is outrageously expensive here, we'll bring it in from Canada, New Zealand, or Australia.
Which then helps to reduce the cost. That's right.
So the craze over the weight loss drugs, okay, when all this first started, $1,100 a month if you didn't qualify as a type 2 diabetic under ACA. We brought that drug in for $89 from Canada, okay, versus $1,100. That's just an example. I mean, Humira is another one, you know, where our cost is significantly different than what you're going to see out there on the ACA plans because, first of all, we're not trying to make a profit off of the medications and all the carriers. That's part of the formula.
That's right. I mean, you're really coming down to the needs of the individuals that really need the prescription. And you're finding ways. I mean, we're talking about it in the political climate that we're in right now, too, of reducing the drug costs. That's one of the biggest pieces we see as
30%
far as
of your spend.
That's right. And when we look at group renewals where a company comes up for renewal and they get a renewal rate, we're able to, depending on what plan they're on, if they're on a self-insured or level-funded plan, we can actually look under the hood. And what we see a lot of this time, Cary, is a lot of that renewal rate increase is because of prescription costs.
You have one or two people taking two major expensive drugs, and what everybody gets to pay now, the whole group is going to be penalized because you've got one person over here on Humira or one person on some other major medication that it's covered, but it's going to be reflected back in the premium. Our situation is very different because we'll do drug importation. And
not to mention, you also do prescription assistance. So if someone can't afford a prescription, the company has some client care specialists that will help find a way to get that funding.
Yeah, it's called Script Aid, and what you're talking about is foundational assistance. And what we do, I'm going to give you an example here. You have a child on a growth hormone, it's over $100,000 a year. Most people cannot afford that, obviously. You can apply through foundational assistance to get that drug for free and have it drop shipped to your door. So what do? We have nurses, this is their job, that do all the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that paperwork goes to the doctor, who in turn submits it to the pharmaceutical manufacturer. They approve it, and then that medication is sent. You can't do that on ACA. And you know how I found out about this? We had a broker in Fort Worth, Texas, whose child needed the growth hormone. He was on an ACA plan. They didn't have any coverage for it. It was basically, it's not on the formulary. Sorry, it's not covered. And he was trying to figure out how he was going to pay for this, because you're going to do whatever you have to do for your child.
That's right.
Let's be real. Well, we turned around and did drug importation and put him on one of our plans, and he got the medication for free.
I think this gig care really fills a gap in our community that has been by far long needed. We have people who are gig workers that need these plans, and the ACA plans don't meet everybody's needs. We had a client that's in Australia. They're standing up a couple of virtual offices here. One of them is a virtual radiology office. Well, radiologists, they want medical plan coverage, and they so they reached out to us because they heard that we were doing gig care, and we were able to sign them up on it. And not everybody has to pick the same plan. That's the beauty.
That's the other thing. You're right.
Everybody can pick what works for them. And it's easy to understand. And that makes it easy for everyone. Going back to the growth hormones, I had a girlfriend, she was on one of the major carriers' plan, and the steroids were costing her several $1,000s a month. And she asked me, she's like, Maria, are there other solutions? And at the time there wasn't, and now there are. So
yeah, there are. So it's having the willingness to do it needs to be done. So it's interesting. You brought up radiology. So CAT scans, CT scans, MRIs, all of that on an ACA plan, you're going to hit the deductible.
That's right.
You're going to hit the coinsurance. So now let's say the hospital says, well, we want to do a CT scan and it's $1,600. You're probably going to eat the largest part of that. Under our plan, they get a voucher.
They do. They can go to one of the locations that Gig Care works with, and they can go there, give them the voucher, and get taken care of.
No deductible, no co-insurance, not even copay. And the plan is called Green Imaging. And what they do is they contract with you just heard Maria talk about virtual radiology. These people contract with independent radiology centers around the country. We have a contract with them. We can send our people there. We pay for it. Okay. And they don't have a deductible, co-insurance, or anything else. So that's another idea of what separates us.
Well, there's lots of ideas that separate you. There's the telemedicine piece, EAP. We know mental health is very important. And even though it's not a group traditional plan, you still get the preventive care for free. They also have their Diathrive, which is their diabetic program that they help you with. So there's lots of other things underneath this product.
Yeah, and you mentioned the telemedicine piece. So our telemedicine piece is called My Live Doc, and the beauty of that is, especially people in rural communities, where they have to drive 45 minutes, sometimes an hour to get to a primary care doc. You can go up 24/7. If you like the doctor, you can keep the same doctor and just keep going back to the doctor. The same thing with urgent care. I always use the example of mom comes home from work at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. Johnny's got pink eye. She's got to drive him to urgent care. No, you don't. You go up on My Live Doc, get him in front of the computer. Doctor says, you've got conjunctivitis, Johnny. I'm going to give you a prescription. That took 15 minutes.
And if you go to urgent care, there's also a copay.
Yeah. And there's no copay here.
That's right.
There's no copay. There's no out of pocket. So basically, you can accomplish the same thing. And the other piece that is really interesting is that we do behavioral health. And that's 4 visits for every person on this plan. And in today's world, with the social media pressure on these kids, having them be able to talk to somebody could make a big difference.
And you can do that also virtually.
Yes, all done virtually.
Again,
that's correct.
It's accessible to anywhere that you live.
If you want information on this, 877-385-2224. Maybe you're in an association, or you're in a farmer's co-op, or you're in a realty group, and you guys don't have coverage, or gals, okay, and maybe what you've got is ridiculously priced. You're on ACA, subsidies are gone, you're paying maybe $1,000, $1,200 a month. We see a lot of people paying those kind of numbers. This plan is significantly different. Maria can help you, 877-385-2224, anywhere in the country. Their website, RPS Benefits by Design Inc.com. Go on it, send them an email. They'll be happy to help you. I'll be right back after the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. You can find out more about us by going to the website, americashealthcareadvocate.com. If you have a question, if you need help with something, feel free to reach out to me. We'll be happy to get back to you. So let's switch gears now. We're learning, this is shocking me, frankly, to be honest with you. I had no idea there were as many associations out there.
Yes.
Maria, it is just unbelievable. There's actually an association for all of the 1099 workers, I didn't even know this, who work at Home Depot, Menards, and all these big box stores. If you need an ice maker installed in your refrigerator and you buy it there, these are the guys and gals that come out and do it. there's an association of these people.
There's an association
and
for everything.
They've got like 40,000 people in this association. Well, until they connected with us, they had no health benefits. Okay, we've got a farm co-op in Nebraska with 40,000 members, and they've never had benefits to offer, and now they do. So talk a little bit about how this benefits. We're talking specifically to people out there involved in an association. Your association has no benefits. How do you set this up, and how does it work? So it's not complicated,
No.
but they need to understand you're the one that's actually making all this happen.
That's right. It's simple. You call our phone number that you can find on our website, the RPS Benefits by Design Inc. website. You call in, one of our gig care consultants ask you some questions. If you pass the medical overriding, then we'll go through and see what your budget is and ask you what kind of plans you're looking for. And then we help you enroll, and then you get your card in the mail.
So let's say the CEO of the association comes to you and says, you know what, we think this is a pretty good plan. Talk about how you implement that. How do you market that? Outbound marketing, messaging, email, text. Talk about all the things that you do to help them get people on the plan. And oh, by the way, every association that does this gets a $10 marketing fee every month for helping promote the gig care plan, right?
That's right. What we do is we work with the association, and we try to understand what works for them as far as what that roadmap looks like to roll this out. We will get them a dedicated phone line, which then we become their benefits team. So then their employees can call us, or their 1099 contractors can call us. We will do the marketing for them. We will send out emails. We will do outbound calls. We will meet with them in person. So then we will do the enrollment for them. We'll help them find a plan, make sure their providers are in there, their prescriptions are covered, and then do the enrollment for them. And then if they have any questions, they just call us, or they call the gig care.
Same thing with farm co-ops.
Yep. Okay. Everybody's the same. We have a general line that if you are a 1099 and you just need medical coverage, you can just call our general line. If you're with a co-op, an association, a realtor group, a franchise group, an organization that has, we have a client that has about 400 1099 contractors that works in a warehouse installing widgets, and they need medical care. So we become their benefits team for their 1099 contractors and their W-2s.
So, and you've also got a client who has 400 franchises they service.
That's right.
And they are now on board with gig care. So talk about how that's going to work, and for franchisees who, the manager of that particular, let's say, sub shop or pizza shop or whatever the facility is, if it's a franchise, you're able to offer plans to them. How does that all work?
I think you brought up a really good point, Cary. We have employers that have W-2 employees, and through the renewal, it may have increased, but they have 1 or 2 or 3 employees, and they still want to provide those employees with benefits. They qualify for gig care. So that's just like the franchise owners. The franchise owners have a small team. They call us, and we work with them to determine what works best for their employees. And same thing, we become their benefits team.
So that has to make a difference, Maria, in terms of retention and recruitment, because the second question that a potential employee always asks after, what am I going to get paid, is, what are my benefits?
That's right. What are my benefits? And we'll create the marketing tools for them, the benefits booklet for them, so they can have it. We want our small employers to feel and look just like a big employer. They can offer benefits. They have growth opportunities. They have a great culture. Those are all the things small organizations have too. What they need is a solution for medical because of the Department of Labor of Insurance.
Yeah, let's talk about realtors for a minute, because we have found this is an area that, I was somewhat surprised. I'm going to tell you a quick story here. We have a broker in Nebraska who had a client in Florida, and that client was paying $3,200 a month for health insurance for himself and his wife. Now, he was 57, 58 years old, whatever the case may be. Well, he paid it. He was on a Blue Cross and Blue Shield plan in Florida, and then he got his ACA premium increase, and it went to $5,000 a month.
Wow!
Now, can you imagine? That's a house payment and a half. Okay, so our broker in Nebraska knew him personally. He put him on gig care. We put him on gig care for $1,200 a month.
I have a similar
better plan.
That's right.
Better plan. No narrow network. National coverage. Prescription drugs, the whole 9 yards, $1,200. I was blown away. Now, the rates in Florida are extremely high. They put through huge increases last year, but that's just one example.
We hear stories like that all the time. I had an attorney down in Texas. He has a couple of 1099 paralegals that work for him. His problem is retention because they need medical benefits. He heard about us. He called us. He was paying for his family $2,400. He came to us and we were able to reduce it to $1,600. He was able to offer benefits to his paralegals. Realtors are the same thing. They get offered a association-wide plans, but they're so expensive.
Oh, they're group plans.
Yeah, they're group plans, and they're so expensive, and sometimes they don't even fit their families.
Well, and the other thing is what's wind up happening with a lot of these realtor associations or realtor groups is that they go into these things thinking it's going to be a solution, and then the rates just keep going up. And what happens? All the healthy people bail,
Right.
and then you're left with this group of people that are not healthy at all, and the rates are double, triple what they were to start with. So for realtors, this is a great solution. If you're a broker running a realtor office, I don't care who you are. If you're Keller Williams or you're Remax or you're Better Homes and Gardens or Sotheby's or whatever the case may be, this is a hell of a solution for them, isn't it?
It is. We've heard a lot from realtors that they have found this solution better than what they've been offered. I think the main point here, Cary, is gig care works for a large group of people that have been forgotten.
Yeah, there was no solution out there for these folks. When we first designed this plan at Tetego with Population Science Management, our company that actually owns the plan, gig care, the folks at Blue Cross and Blue Shield Nebraska came to us with a very large group that they were moving off of W-2 onto 1099, and that's why we did it. And then we realized, holy cow, there are 85 million people out there, 88 million people out there that are 1099 that are struggling for coverage. And if they have to buy ACA plans, you just gave examples.
Well, you also think about the kids that are aging off of their parents' plan too, right?
I hadn't even thought of that.
Yes. So you're hitting a lot of different demographics on this product that can fill their need. Kids who are aging off of their parents' plan, 26-year-olds, they need a plan. And this is, again, we're on Aetna, Cigna, and Blue Cross Blue Shield Nebraska network.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, you can. And by the way, that Blue Cross Nebraska network has what's called the Blue Card, which then gives you access nationally to all the Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans. That's why we're able to offer Blue Cross and Blue Shield as we do across the country. When we come back from the break, we'll dive in a little more on some of the examples we've seen and some of the differences this has made for people, whether it's franchisees, franchisors, whether it's co-ops, or whether it's associations. As Maria said, there's a solution here. You do have to pick up the phone and give them a call if you want some help. 877-385-2224. Pick up the phone, call them, ask for Maria. You'll probably get Hannah first, her executive assistant, and she's wonderful. Okay. And then she can talk to you about putting this in play for your association, your co-op. Maybe you're not on the board of directors, but maybe you're just a member. Well, you might want to be the one that brings this to their attention and say, you know what, we could be doing this, and it would make a big difference. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HI Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. The website is RPS Benefits by Design Inc.com. Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. In studio with Maria Ahlers. She is the president of RPS Benefits by Design. We are talking about 1099 workers out there. There are 88 million of you, I believe now, going to go up to over 110 million in the next 5 years. And you may not even be a gig care worker. You may just be somebody that's part of an association, or maybe you are a gig care worker and you're part of an association that, as I talked about earlier, installs appliances for Menards or Home Depot, whatever the case may be. Or maybe you're in a farm co-op. Some of the other folks that Maria, that we're seeing have tremendous interest in this plan, some of the other groups that you've talked to.
Mm-hmm. A manufacturing organization that has about 400 gig care workers that installs Wi-Fi in the warehouse. We have telemedicine radiologists that are needing gig care, are needing some sort of medical care. Attorney's office.
That's what I had not thought of, attorneys, because I thought most attorneys offered a full-blown benefits plan, but evidently not.
No, not with. I mean, if they have a small firm, they have 2 or 3.
They have the same problem everybody else has.
They do CPA offices where they have 2 or 3 employees that need gig care, some sort of medical care. We have associations, like you said, of all kinds. Whether it's CEO associations, water associations, just a plethora of different organizations. We have just a person who is a plumber and he has his own LLC and needs gig care for himself. I mean, it just fits with everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting. You made me think of a category and a story of a group we did. This is a group of the independent anesthesiologists. Uh-huh. And this company managed the anesthesiologists, kind of like our friend that owns the franchise management firm, Franchise Resource, Luke Towery. Same thing, but they do anesthesiologists, and they schedule them and get them in, and they get them paid and all the rest of it. They didn't have any health benefits. And when they saw what we could do with gig care, they immediately put it in place. A lot of these anesthesiologists, these ER docs and ER nurses, they're contract doctors.
That's right.
And contract employees, contract nurses, anesthesiologists, and they do not have coverage under the hospital.
That's right. Yeah, they're contractors, and so they need medical insurance. We have a physical therapist office where they do physical therapy, and their therapists are 1099 contractors.
Really?
And so they needed medical insurance. So it's nice for us as a broker to be able to pivot and provide a solution for everyone. We can do group benefits, we can do Medicare, we can do ACA, but now we can also help the 1099s.
And by the way, if you are a broker and you're listening to this, all you got to do is call Maria. They'll be happy to get you involved in gig care. They'll set it up with you in the whole structure and make it work, and they'll walk you through it, get you trained. If you need a call center, they've got the call center. They can do the whole 9 yards. So if you're a broker out there and maybe you've been trying to knock on the door of some of these groups, you couldn't get in the door, well, you've got a product now. Okay, you can give Maria a call. She'll be happy to get you set up underneath her agency as a GA, and you can move forward with these plans. But it is amazing to me what I've learned in the last 3 years. We've had this plan out now for 4 years, is the width and depth of this market. I never knew associations, this many associations were even out there.
Yep.
Okay. Farm co-ops kind of new, but not really.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, there's a model that fits their needs, and they can, each individual, you can pick an HSA plan. If you want a really low premium, you're 50 years old, you don't have a lot of medical issues, that may work for you. But if you're not, if you're 30 years old and you've got 2 or 3 little tricycle motors running around the house.
That's right.
And you need to have urgent care and ER, there's a plan that fits their needs as well.
These plans there's so many options, and you can pick the network you want to be on, whether you want to be the Cigna network, the Aetna network, the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska network. You can pick the deductibles that you want. In most group insurance, the organization picks the plans to offer their employees.
Size 44 overcoat doesn't fit everybody, Maria.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
The other piece to this is what I get asked a lot is, what about compliance? Do I have to complete any forms? No. There's no forms for employers to worry about. There's no COBRA that the employers need to worry about. This is a plan that is with the individual under a group umbrella.
Yeah, and if the employer chooses to make a contribution,
That's right.
and that goes into the paycheck, and that's the way the trucking firm in Lincoln, Nebraska did it. As I use that example, so there are ways to make this work, and this is an opportunity. This why we wanted to do the show today was so that you could hear this coast to coast and understand that if you are one of these groups and this intrigues you, you're curious, you're interested, you want to know more about it. This plan can make a lot of sense for a lot of people, Maria.
It really can. It again, like I said, it is a solution that has been a gap in our medical care.
So I have to tell you a quick story. So we had a large co-op who came to us, and I think it's like 40 or 50,000 people, and we put the plan in place for them. And they said, can we get an exclusive? And we're like, well, no, we don't really do that. But I was curious, why do you want an exclusive? Oh, because we want to go see how many members we can take away from these other co-ops because they don't have any benefit plans.
That's right.
And I'm like, holy cow, I never thought of that.
I didn't either.
So I will say this, if you're looking to attract new members, this is a great way to do it. I mean, we've got some pretty diverse groups out there. We have the National Hot Rod Association. That's right. The NHRA, the guys you see on television on ESPN every Saturday and Sunday racing those drag cars at 300 miles an hour, those funny cars down that quarter mile, those guys are actually part of gig care now. So, I mean, it's amazing. To me.
And to your point, some carriers won't even cover certain industries, right?
No.
Certain jobs.
No.
This doesn't do that.
Yeah, if you've got 1099 construction workers that work for you and you're a general contractor, this is a great solution for them.
Yeah, we had a company that they have stuntmen. And movie stuntmen, and they couldn't get insurance coverage for them.
Right.
And gig care was the solution.
That's remarkable. The reason we do these shows is to educate and inform, and that's why I asked Maria to come in here today and talk about this. And again, if you're in any of these groups that we talked about, associations, co-ops, you're realtors, maybe you belong to a group of independent ER docs or anesthesiologists, or maybe you're one of those FedEx drivers that drives the FedEx ground delivery trucks. I found out all those guys and gals are 1099. If you want this product, you want to learn about it, 877-385-2224. Ask for Maria. You'll probably get Hannah first. Hannah will get you set up, and then you can have a conversation about how to do this. And the website is RPS Benefits by Design Inc.com, RPS Benefits by Design Inc.com. Thank you, Maria, for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it was great. I think we're going to help a lot of people with this, so I'm happy that we're able to do it. And now I leave you with this thought from Albert Einstein: the one who follows the crowd will usually get no further than the crowd. The one who walks alone will likely find himself in places no one has ever been. Remember, friends, it's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the very best, you most often get it. Thank you for listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. Goodbye, America.